Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is leading aircraft woman Stacey Watson. We warmly welcome the family of Corporal Ernest Hewitt, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We also acknowledge the members of the RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the ceremony broadcast across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Corporal Ernest Hewitt. Ernest Hewitt was born on the 25th of June 1890, the third son of Walter and Julia Hewitt of Leytonstone, Essex, England. He attended the Leytonstone School and gained military experience in the local Essex Territorial Army. At the age of 18, he migrated to Australia and began a new life living in the Sydney suburb of Marrickville, where he was employed as an iron worker. In 1913, he married Violet Ward, and the couple would go on to have 2 children together, Richard and May. All 3 of the Hewitt brothers served in the First World War. The 2 eldest brothers, Walter and Frank, served in the British Army. Frank died on Gallipoli in May 1915. Ernest Hewitt enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in March 1916 in Sydney and joined the 20th Infantry Battalion. After a few months' training, he embarked with his unit from Sydney aboard the transport ship Ceramic bound for England. At the time of his departure, Hewitt left behind his infant son and his young wife Violet, who was pregnant with the couple's second child. Hewitt arrived in England in November 1916 and continued training. He distinguished himself and was promoted to the rank of corporal. In September 1917, he left England for the Western Front, joining his unit as it was resting behind the lines in the Ypres region of Belgium. Hewitt had been at the front for 10 days when he had his first experience of a major battle. On the 4th of October 1917, he took part in the Battle of Brunsnyder, in which 4 Anzac divisions attacked along a 4.5 kilometre front with the intention of capturing high ground held by German forces. The battle took place in thick mud with heavy German mortar fire and chaotic fighting around reinforced German strongpoints. While it ended with Anzac forces successfully gaining their objectives, this came at the cost of over 8,000 Anzac casualties. Hewitt's next major battle came 5 days later at Polkapau, an attack that was designed to build upon the previous success at Brunsnyder. On the 9th of October 1917, in heavy rain and mud, British and Anzac forces attacked along a 12-kilometre front towards the town of Passchendaele. In appalling conditions, Australian forces managed to reach some of their objectives, but were driven back by German defences. The failed attack cost over 1,200 Australian casualties. In the chaos and confusion of the battle, Hewitt was originally reported as missing in action. In November 1917, Hewitt's wife Violet received a letter from a private, Gerald Sexton, who claimed that he had seen her husband dead on the battlefield and had seen him buried where he fell. He included in the letter some papers and photographs he had removed from the body before burial. Violet recognised the photos and duly informed the authorities, who officially announced Hewitt as having been killed in action on the 9th of October. Grief-stricken and with 2 young children to raise, Violet left a poem in the local newspaper. His gallant rifle may broken lie, his bones may bleach neath foreign sky, but his soul will never die. Ernest Hewitt's remains lie buried in Tynecott Cemetery in Belgium, where nearly 12,000 soldiers of the First World War are commemorated. His gravestone reads, "Loved even beyond the grave by his loving wife and babies." Corporal Ernest Hewitt is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Corporal Ernest Hewitt, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. We do ask that members of the Australian Shop and Office Fitting Industry Association please remain in the commemorative area in order to begin your after-hours tour. We thank everyone for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.